This is the new BMW iX3 and it's the most important new BMW since I've been a motoring journalist, so for quite a long time. It's the very first of their new Neue Klasse vehicles which will be introduced. The next one will be the replacement for the 3 Series saloon. You can't have a look inside it yet, you're going to have to wait till later.
This Neue Klasse idea represents a fundamental change in the way BMW is going to build cars. Crucially, the iX3 doesn't share its platform with an internal combustion engine car like the old iX3 did. From now on, every electric BMW will get an EV-only Neue Klasse platform. This unlocks some game-changing tech, more range, and it should make it more fun to drive.
Also, a large part of the Neue Klasse vehicles are built from recycled materials such as these plastic bottles. Is that annoying? And most importantly of all, the iX3 showcases BMW's Neue Klasse design language, which has got keyboard warriors on the internet going on.
Are they right? Or does the iX3 represent a bright new future for BMW? Let's find out.
The first thing I thought when I saw this car was, do you know what, from the front, this really looks like the concept. It does, doesn't it? We have this really cool light design here, and you can have different welcome animations. I'll show you some of those now. And then you've got this smaller kidney grille, which is reminiscent of the Neue Klasse from like the 60s and 70s and stuff.
The original Neue Klasse cars were a range of sporty BMW saloons and coupes from the 1960s. Their tall vertical grilles were considered a bit weird back then, but despite this, they helped save the company from financial disaster. Now, BMW is reinventing itself again for the electric age, and it's chose to honour the original Neue Klasse cars by using similar vertical grilles on this iX3. Despite their eye-catching illuminated frame, these grilles aren't just for show. They also contain loads of sensors for the car's driver assistance tech.
Moving down the side here, we've got air breathers to smooth airflow over the wheels, improve the aerodynamics. Really important, of course, on an electric car. Then down here, this is your lower grille for battery cooling, which can shut if you don't need any cooling, but you need improved aerodynamics. Now, if you look at the bonnet, you'll notice it's recessed here. This helps smooth the airflow yet again, and it looks kind of cool as well, doesn't it? Biggest thing to note, though, is this. BMW have redesigned their logo. They've been much better at it than Audi have. In the past, you would have like a chrome round the propeller and it'd be divided up with chrome as well, and the chrome was very shiny chrome. Here, they got rid of the chrome in the propeller. It's just divided by little segments. Kind of reminds me of Lego in a way. I don't know why, but I like it. Also, the chrome is sort of like smoke chrome. Good job, guys. Right, moving down the side, alloy wheel sizes go up to, what are these? Are these 21s or 22s? 22s! And these are like the aero wheels, so they have like this plastic covering here in between the spokes to help, once again, reduce drag, improve airflow. Moving down the side, this is where I'm a little bit disappointed compared to the concept car. That seemed to have slightly more angular sides. This is a bit more rounded. It's a bit of a shame because while I really like it from the front and it seems super modern, from the side it's less wow. Now, one thing you do have though is pop-out door handles, but unlike some other pop-out door handles from other manufacturers, I do like the way they work. So press that, pops out, and you don't actually pull on that, it just senses that you're like putting pressure on it, it just opens the door. I like that. I also like the fact that we haven't got some little cameras for door mirrors. These are proper door mirrors, like a bit of old school. Okay, down at the bottom here, this side like kind of blends in and you've got this crease here. In fact, I was speaking to one of the designers and they were saying that when we put a crease on the car, it's a very definite crease. You can really see that over the rear wheel arches as well. Gives it quite a strong stance. Speaking of which, when you go to the rear, you will notice that it's got quite wide hips. Sort of Porsche 911-y. Look, the people from BMW are looking a bit cross that I've mentioned a rivals brand. But what that does is, one, make it look cool, but also it's apparently good for the aerodynamics. And something that's really interesting is this. You see the way these panels here are squared off? That actually helps the aero as well, which just allows the air to just break over the back of the vehicle. Now, like at the front, you have like this recessed area there. This combines with this to help the airflow over the back of the car. And you have a rear diffuser that these bits don't do anything. They're supposed to mimic Venturi tunnels. They do nothing, but underneath the car, it's completely flat and it's flat all the way around here, which once again improves the airflow, reduces the drag. At the back, we've got these huge tail lights. Once again, they'll give a different signature depending on what you selected in the car. So here's a look at those. Overall, the drag coefficient of this car is 0.24 CD, which apparently is the same as an i4 saloon. Obviously, being an SUV, taller, you're going to have more drag, so it's really impressive that they got it down to the same as that car. But this is how it compares to some other SUVs.
Less drag means more range, and BMW says the iX3 can manage up to 500 miles on a full charge. That's around 200 miles further than the old iX3 could do. But, as well as new aero, this car has a very clever battery. For starters, it's huge. 180 kilowatt hours, which is about the same size as you get in an i7. But it also has new cells that make it lighter and help it charge much more quickly. I'll explain more later, but first, let's check out the iX3's cabin.
Visually, this interior is pretty special. It's more wow than the exterior. So futuristic. The thing that makes it really futuristic is this clever heads-up display you've got there. Basically what's happened is you've got the windscreen with the black panel there. You've got quite a raised bonnet, so this sits below the bonnet, and you've got little projectors just projecting this stuff on the screen. Now you can actually change some of the information on there, the stuff over to the right side, because that stuff in front of you which has your speed and stuff like that, that has to be there by law. On top of this full widescreen heads-up display, there's also a traditional heads-up display which actually projects things on the main part of the windscreen, so you can look through it and see the road and read things like your speed and stuff. It just looks like you're in a spaceship. To be fair, the information on there is pointless, and I could completely live without it, but it just makes this car feel new and different. Then we've got this new infotainment screen here. Interesting shape, I quite like it. You know, it's better than it just being like an iPad. It's very responsive. Look at that, the graphics are super sharp. It's very fast. Yes, I know that they've got rid of pretty much all buttons, so everything is done through here or by voice activation, which can be a bit annoying when you're messing around like with the climate control. And yeah, you have to move the air vents about by doing this, which, while cool, is not as easy as going like that, is it, with like a little knob? But it just looks cleaner, the design looks cleaner. Anyway, back to the infotainment screen. Big improvement over the previous BMW iDrive system. They sort of lost their way, it got super confusing. This one is much simpler. You can put various shortcuts on here like this. When you go into car, it's got everything you need for your car, sorting out different settings and stuff like that in one place, so it's much more intuitive and quicker to use than before, so thank goodness for that. And one thing you're going to be going into is this: assistant systems, turn off speed limit warning, off, goodbye. Now there's other things you can do on here as well. You can connect your phone wirelessly, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. Overall though, this system seems like a big improvement to me. What's less of an improvement is this: you have touch sensitive buttons now on the steering wheel. I prefer actual physical buttons that you feel click, but these do have haptic feedback, which is quite clear, much better than the haptic feedback you get on some other manufacturers' steering wheel buttons. So they really do vibrate, so you know that you're hitting the right thing. And this does look futuristic, and the wheel itself is really cool. Once again, it's a bit like you'd imagine you'd use to control some kind of spaceship. I like it a lot.
I like it a lot.
And thank goodness the quality's improved over more recent BMWs. The indicator stalks just are more damped than they are on something like the new X3, for instance, which is all a bit kind of like, feels quite cheap when you operate that. And that matters because you touch this a lot and you want it to feel expensive. After all, it is an expensive car. It's a BMW. Speaking of materials, generally really nice. All the materials that you touch higher up in the vehicle, this kind of fabric on the dash, I'm liking all of this. It's only when you go a bit lower down and it feels a little bit more brittle, scratchy plastic, but it doesn't feel cheap. Seats certainly don't feel cheap. These are actually vegan leather. It feels really nice. There is no reason to have leather when this feels this good. And look at the headrests. Quite like this headrest. They move sort of like up and out. It's interesting. In terms of storage, look, see, we've got some storage under here. Old school 12-volt socket still. Keeping it real, even in this modern car. You've got your drive selector there, a couple of cup holders, USB-Cs there, and wireless charging. There's a big storage area under here as well. There like that. And the glove box is quite small. Door bins are big though, so that's nice and practical. One thing I have noticed is this vanity mirror. It's really rather small. This isn't small though, the rear view mirror. In fact, it doesn't need to be anywhere near that big because the back window is quite small. Oh look, it's got a camera in it. That's because if I hit that, we have a special security system. So all the cameras around the car, you can actually start them recording, and it basically acts like an all-round dash cam. And for security reasons, you can actually connect to the car via your phone app like you can with a Tesla and have a look around, so you're poking around your vehicle. Just look at this, loads of knee room here. Headroom's really good as well. Now sometimes with electric cars you can find that because the batteries are underneath the floor, you end up with your knees quite high like that, but here it's pretty good. You've got good under thigh support. You can also stretch out underneath the seat in front, so it's very comfy. And You can recline the seat backs. Plus look here, we have easy access ISOFIX anchor points, and as with many other BMWs, well, that's your cup holders there for the armrest. Oh no, that's the assistant. Anyway, it hasn't said anything. You have three-way folding seats. Down here we have the climate control. There we go. We've got two USB-Cs. Got decent sized door bins. We have windows that I'm sure won't go all the way down. They'll probably stop about there. A little bit better than I imagined, but still not the best. And one thing that is a bit odd, while you have like these little things here where you can like hang stuff off and like fit a device which will hold your phone or iPad, there doesn't seem to be any pockets on the seat backs. You know how I said that unlike other electric cars, you don't feel like your knees are too raised when you're sat in the back seats? Part of the reason is because of what BMW have done with the battery pack. So it's actually a structural part of the car. If you look on the other side, that is the actual underside of the car. And if you look on the top side, you can see the mounting points for the seats. It's clever.
And what's inside this new battery is pretty clever too.
BMW has moved from these square battery packs to these new cylindrical ones because it allows them to have higher power density. Right, so for every litre of battery, you can have more energy in them. Now, being cylindrical allows them to achieve that without the risk of, say, if something goes wrong with the cell, for it to have thermal runaway and the car to burst into flames. Now, the chances of a short circuit and that happening are very, very small, but due to safety regulations in lots of different countries, you have to minimise the power output of the battery just in case something like that happens. And when you have them square like this, if they're all packed in, they can transmit heat to one another if something goes wrong. Whereas if they're cylindrical, each battery is touching lots of other batteries, so they can dissipate their heat if something does go wrong much easier without this thermal runaway happening.
BMW has also increased the electrical voltage from 400 volts like the i5 to 800 volts like in a Porsche Taycan. This means the iX3 can charge at up to 400 kilowatts using DC fast chargers, which is twice as quick as any other electric BMW. Now you can add around 230 miles of range in just 10 minutes. But that's not the only clever charging tech you get with the iX3.
There's a wide range of charging adapters you can get with the car, so you can get it to do different things.
Vehicle to load can power large household appliances such as a fridge. Vehicle to home turns your car into an emergency battery to power your house in a blackout. And vehicle to grid means it can store surplus electricity from renewable energy sources when there's low demand and send it back to the grid at peak times. But how good is the iX3 at storing other things, like luggage?
You can get the car with an automated tailgate. Let's see how good it is. Right, so sometimes they don't work, but will this one first go? Yep. Right, big capacity, 520 litres, which is 50 litres less than the X3, but it's not as bad as you might think, and I'll explain why in a moment. First though, I want to show you this. Let's take this out and this out, give it a yank. Come on, will it fit underneath the boot floor? I'm not sure that it will, but I've been told that it should. Really? It really does, look. Good work, BMW, good work. Right, fold down the rear seats. Why haven't they got releases in the boot? They haven't. And it's not there either. I've got to do a walk around. There's one. Lock it into place, do the other side. There we are. As you can see, with no load lip, it's quite a smooth transition to the front part, but obviously it's not completely flat, but it's fine. And we also have some nettage and some tie down points. Where's the 12 volt? It must be in here somewhere. Where are you? No? No. I cannot find one. Now let's just check under the bonnet. There we are. Is there a front boot? Well, I know full well because I've been briefed. Yes, there is. The first on a modern BMW.
Front trunk or front boot. This is particularly common in electric vehicles, which don't have a large engine occupying the front space, and also in some rear-engined cars like older Volkswagen Beetles or Porsche 911s.
Oh, don't mention the competition. Okay, thank you, Gemini. I don't know why that just chimed in, but it did. But BMWs haven't in the past, apart from I think the i3 ages ago, had a front boot. But here we are with 58 litres of space. So when you add that to the boot capacity, your total trunk space on the iX3 is ever so slightly more than the X3. The question is, do I try and sit in it with them sat there? What do you reckon, Lewis?
Yes.
I can't. It's too cringe. I'm like a cat with an open box.
Some of this extra fruit space was made possible by the iX3's clever new electrical system. Rather than loads of separate control modules, it groups all the car's computers into 4 super brains. There's one for the entertainment, one for the climate controls, one for the autonomous driving tech, and one for the stability control and driving dynamics. That last one is actually called the Heart of Joy, and it can process information 10 times quicker than today's cars, which they claim makes the iX3 feel like a proper BMW to drive. Now, I'll be the judge of that when I get to test the car, but this software isn't the only reason why this car should feel more exciting to drive than your average electric SUV.
The iX350 has 2 electrical motors, one on each axle. Being a BMW, can you guess which one goes on which axle? Yes, that's the one for the rear, because it's got to have that sporty drive. So yeah, you get the more power, the more expensive motor on the back, whereas the one at the front is there to add support, but it can do this thing that when it's not being used, it can completely decouple, so there's no drain and it doesn't cause any drag, so that improves the efficiency. In fact, these latest motors are 40% more efficient than the previous generation motors, yet they cost 20% less. It's a win-win. In terms of power output, you have 470 horsepower and 645 newton meters of torque combined from the 2 systems.
That's over 70 horsepower and 65 more newton meters than you get in the X3 M50. It's close to the 510 horsepower you got in the old X3M. Unfortunately, BMW hasn't confirmed any acceleration or top speed figures, but it has said the new iX3 will cost them just under £59,000. That's about £12,000 less than a new X3 M50, and it's almost £30,000 less than the old X3M. And part of this cost saving is due to BMW using some pretty unusual materials.
The wheels are made from 70% recycled aluminium. The front boot cover is made from 30% reclaimed maritime plastics. The seat covers are made from recycled plastic bottles. Apparently, the new iX3 is 42% lower in terms of CO2 for its supply chain. It's quite a big drop.
However, as with all modern BMWs, there are plenty of optional upgrades available.
You'll be able to get the iX3 with this new MC. Let me just try it out. It's very nice. Also, it's on wheels, so someone could push you along in it. I'd like this at home. In fact, this is how I'm going to get about from now on. Can we go that way, please? Because I need to finish up with a verdict. Thank you. And that's basically all you need to know for now on the new BMW iX3. My first impressions, I like the design of the front, I like the rear. I'm not fully sold on the side profile. It's a bit of a disappointment compared to the actual concept, slightly, I guess. Love the inside. It's like, mwah, all the tech in there, it's great as well. It's going to be really interesting to see what is the real world range of this car. How close can it get to those claim figures? We're going to find out, and I want to try the Heart of Joy, the driving dynamics on this car, because it's supposed to be really, really special. So to make sure you don't miss out on that, subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.